Hello, welcome. I hope you're having a wonderful day today. Welcome to Whimsy Stamps live stream on Thursday. If you're out there with me, I would love for you to pop in the chat there and say hello. My name is Carrie, and today we're going to create a couple cards, a couple scene cards with a couple different perspectives. So let's go ahead and change our camera view and take a look at our project. Okay, so here are my cards today, and you can see they're just a couple scene cards, and they're very fun to create. There's actually quite a few little technique-y type things we're going to do to create these cards. So let's take a look at the products that I'm using. So with it being Christmas in July, this is actually a Christmas set. And you can see here the pineapple's got a Christmas tree and they're wearing their Christmas hats. But this is Mr. and Mrs. Claus taking a break from holidays going to the beach. So let's take a look here. It is called Tropical Christmas. And that is the set that we'll be using. I'm also using the Speech Bubbles 2, which recently came out to create my aperture on my cards. And this is the Build an Island die set, and I have placed it on a piece of magnet just so you can see all the pieces, but this one is called Build an Island, and I'm using the Tropical Flower paper collection. All right, so when we make these two cards, you're going to need several pieces of paper cut to an A2 size. We need one just white background. From our paper pad, I chose, let me get it out here, a couple different floral ones, and any of them will work. It's such a fun paper pad. You'll have no problem choosing, and today I picked this one. And then there's one other. I chose this one, and this is going to be our background paper for our gentleman cards. So we're going to put it back here, and then this one will be on top of that. So this is how we're going to do it. You're also going to want two, A2 size panels cut out of whatever color you're going to use for your sand. And you'll want to cut those out of the A2. Let me grab one of my pieces over here. So just like this, you'll need two pieces cut out of sand. And then one of them we're going to do a landscape and one portrait. And from your island die set, we're going to get our palm trees. And on one of them, you're going to position it kind of right in the middle like this. And go ahead and die cut. Now after that die cut, you'll have to take your scissors and kind of make a couple snips to separate that. And that's going to give you this piece right here. Now the snips, it doesn't really matter. That's all going to be covered up, but you'll need that. Then for the other piece, you'll want to put it on about like this. And I raised mine up. In fact, if you wanted to, you could go all the way to the top and let this be really big, and then we'll just trim it off the size that we need. But this one needs to be in the portrait position, and we're going to use that one with this card. All right, so when you look at these cards, there's one major difference, and that is the perspective of your island. So when you choose your A2 panel to cut your apertures in, and like I said, I used my large piece out of the Speech Bubbles 2 to cut my apertures. So you could use any large die that you could have, an oval, a square, a circle, a speech bubble. I liked this because of its wonky shape kind of in there. I wanted that on these cards to kind of give it just a little more interest. So when I cut it out, just like this on each of my two cards, and like I said, did one landscape and one portrait, and you can see that on my two cards. Okay, so you cut your aperture into whatever your piece that's going to be your patterned paper. Now on this card, my scene is built on top of the aperture, where on this card I set my scene behind the aperture. So that's just two different ways that you can create a scene card to, it kind of, you're using the same elements, but it gives you a little bit different look. So it's just something that you can kind of change up if you're making cards with scenes. Just something to think about when you're doing that. So with this one, I'm using a piece of patterned paper to be my background. But on this one, we're going to do some ink blending to be our background. So let's go ahead and work on our ink blending. I'm going to go ahead and set these pieces aside. And regardless of the scene that you're creating, this is something that you can change up by putting your scene on top of the background or having your scene come up and out of the background. So that's just something to kind of, design choices that you have when you're creating scene cards. Regardless if these could be puppy dogs, they could be mushrooms, it doesn't matter whether you're creating with palm trees or any other, I'm having trouble with my words again today, any of the dies that you might have in your stash. Okay, let's go ahead and do some ink blending. I'm going to go ahead and grab my jelly plate here that I like to ink blend on, and this is just an A2 white size. And I've gone ahead here and I'm going to just position so that I can kind of see where I need my sun to be. I'm just going to make myself just a little guide right down here so that I can see where I need to make sure I get my ink to cover. And I'm going to start with some carved pumpkin oxide. And go ahead and do some ink blending just to give myself a pretty sunrise. There we go. Now I'm going to move into some yellows. Next color going to be mustard seed. Give myself a nice blend there. And my last color is going to be the lemonade. I'm going to go ahead and clean that off a bit. There we go. There we go. All right, that's going to be my sunset. Blend those out a little bit. And while we have our jelly mat out, we're also going to do a little bit of blending on some of our pieces. Now for the one card, I've already done it ahead of time, but let's do, for the other card, we'll do it together. So I'm going to put down all of the tops of my palm trees. And I'm going to want to do my other, I'll move these over a bit. This piece right here. And for that, we're going to make some sand with my over coffee. And I'm just going to put that over the edges here around the top, just to give that a little bit of shading back in there. I always like to do a little ink blending on my die cuts just to give them that extra dimension. I like what that adds to the overall card. And I'm not going to do all of the palm trees, but right up here where the trunk meets the green, I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of shadow up there. Okay, that finishes that piece ready. Now I'm going to bring in a little bit of lime Ricky and add a little bit of shadow to my palm leaves here. All right, just like that. Now the final thing is for my sun. Go ahead and lay these over here. This one right here, I'm going to use a little bit of the catching rays. And I'm pretty much just going to add it all the way around on this one. Okay, there we go. Now on my other sun, this one that's going to be a rising sun or a setting sun, I only did one side. But the one that's going to go up in the sky, I did it all around. All right, so we are done, I believe, with our ink blending. So let's build our die cuts here. So I went ahead and cut out just the tops of the palm trees out of 2 different shades of green. I'm going to take my little scissors here and we're just going to trim off the green parts. There we go. Throw these 2 pieces, whoops, almost knocked that off. Okay, and then I'm also on this one right here, I'm going to go ahead and trim these apart. Now I don't want this one leaf to have a straight edge like that, so I'm just with my scissors going to trim it into a little point instead, so that doesn't look like it was just cut off like that. I'm going to do the same to this one. All right. All right, to finish this up, I'm going to go ahead and just take my tweezers here and we are going to glue down, let's see, I want to do some variation on some of them. I want the dark piece on top, and then on one of them I'm going to do it the opposite way around just to create that interest on my trees. Okay, so for this big one here, we'll put this one on the back. So I am going to make these retirement cards, but there are lots of different things that you could use these. Whoops, is this the right one? Yeah, there it is. Make sure I get it on the right one. There we go. And now on the rest, I'm going to put the light green on the bottom. For summertime cards, if you're going on a vacation or if someone you know is, this could be a fun card to send, or just a hello card. There's lots of, it's just a fun summery scene. I've really been having fun working with die cuts lately. A lot of my cards have been you know, just building up die cuts. Sometimes I kind of go in phases where I'll do a lot of stamping and coloring, and then, I don't know, maybe last month or so, I've just been like rediscovering a lot of my die cuts and have been enjoying all the different ways of coloring them, layering them up, changing the cut papers. It just having fun with them. Whimsy Stamps has several build-a-scene dies. They've got the mushroom, there's the trees, there's the island. I'm trying to remember the names of all of them. But there's several to choose from. Now I'm just going to offset the other color so that you can see the darker green behind or the lighter green, depending on how I'm layering it. You could also switch them up and put, you know, different pieces. Like this one goes here instead of there, but I can line it up on the other side instead and have that be over here. And then use this one on this side. So that's something you can do to kind of mix them up as well. Offset that one. And this will be my last one. So we have been incredibly busy just getting ready for my daughter's wedding. Yesterday we went and had our dress fittings, and luckily we all fit in our dresses very well. Just a few alterations, but not many, mostly just the hems. So that's good. All right, so here we have our palm trees ready to go for our 2 cards. And so we have our silhouette. We have our portrait, Oh, look at that. Doesn't that, putting the palm trees on just really like brings the sunset alive. And then we have our background here with the ocean scene that will be on this one. All right, like I said, for this one, I only did the one side, so we're gonna place our rising sun right down there. And maybe, do we want it turned this way? No, the other way. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and put my sun in place. Make sure I have that lined up. I'm just going to put it right there between my two trees. Okay, now I don't want to glue this down yet because for this one, we want the aperture to be behind our palm tree. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this piece down. I chose a different background paper. On my original, I used kind of the blue with the white and yellow flowers, but I wanted to bring in some more pink. So we'll see how this one does. Now, I'm going to add some glue, but just on the sand. I'm not going to glue my trees down yet because I may want to place my clouds and things like that back behind my trees, so I'll add my glue to my trees later. There we go. Ooh, that's really looking like a good island scene. I used a darker orange than I did originally, and I'm glad I did. I like that better. Okay, so we're going to set that one aside real quick. Now for this one, we're going to build it up a little bit differently. So because I have my scene back behind my aperture, I wanted it to give that further depth to it. So I went ahead and added foam tape to the back of this one. And I'll show you here how we're going to do this. I'm going to remove all of my foam tape here, except for the top. I'm only going to remove my foam from the tape off the foam on the one bottom and the sides. Okay. Okay. Now I'm going to put my palm trees up through the aperture so that they're on top, and then add my, there you go. So you see that my palm trees are on top. Okay. Did I do him upside down? I think I did. I did it upside down. That's okay. I should have had this as my bottom. It should have been like that, but it doesn't really matter. We'll see how that works out in the end. Well, you know what? Maybe I should turn it around. I had it laying right, and then when I turned it upside down to take the tape off, I turned it around. So let me do this again here. Okay, so this tape is off already, so you have to be careful that your palm trees don't stick to it. That was the only reason that I had you not remove that, but we're going to tuck that through like that. And now we're going to lay down our palm trees. There we go. That'll work better. And I'll show you why I had to go ahead and pull it off and do it instead of just leaving it like it was. If you notice right here, this is my little speech bubble little indentation. And I want to be able to cover that up with my sun. So I didn't want it down here because I didn't want my sun way down here. So that's why I did it like that. But now that we have this like this, I can go ahead and add glue to the back of my sand. And again, I'm not attaching my trees just in case I want to tuck things behind, which I know I do. And now I'm going to go ahead and layer that onto my background. All right, there we go. So we have created our two island scenes with our two different styles of aperture. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at our stamp set. So I have gone ahead and stamped out and colored some of our pieces. But I wanted you to take a look at these two pieces. Grab the stamp set. So this little guy right here, he's all decked out for Christmas. he stamps out. Okay, so you can see he has a nice furry or fuzzy Christmas hat on. Well, I didn't want him to have a Christmas hat, so I've created my wonderful little beachy paradise island scenes here. So I thought it would be fun to turn this little crab or this little lobster into a kind of reggae or island crab. So we gave him some curly dark hair. So when you cut it out, and I did fussy cut all of these guys, and most of them I fussy cut really close to the image, and I'll show you why, but this one I'm not going to, but I'll show you why. So when I get to his hat, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to trim that right off. And now, cut that off. So now, instead of having a hat, he's got some curly hair. And when I colored him up, I just colored him up. So now he's a groovy little crab from the islands, okay? So I want you to not be afraid to change up your stamps as you're going. If you have an idea and you want to make them work for a certain scene, there's lots of ways you can do that. Now, another way, besides just cutting his hat off, you could have masked off his hat and then just taken your pen and drawn a straight line over the top there and given him just a curve instead of having him have the curly hair. But I thought it would be fun to have him have the curly hair. Okay, now for this piece, we are going to take our pencil and we're going to follow the line just like the one below. So I made myself a little guide, and now I'm going to come back with my marker because I don't want it to say Love Santa. So I'm going to come back with my marker and just draw myself a black line. And now we're just going to go ahead and trim that off just like that. There we go. And now our sign says Gone to the Beach, which is what we want our sign to say. All right. Okay, so our cards are ready to finish up here just by adding the other layers. So for our Santa, I'm going to go ahead and put just a little bit of foam on the back of him. And like I said, officially he's not a Santa anymore. He's just a retired fella on the beach. There we go. I'm going to add glue to the rest of him. And we're going to place him right here on his scene. Okay, and for the sun, what did I do with that other foam that I just had in my hand? Oh, there it is. I set it on my scissors. I'm losing my mind. There we go. So I spent last week at a place called Caitlin's Crop last weekend. It was so fun. Just had a ball with friends, just doing crafty things. Took some fantastic classes. Really had a good time. All right, so there we've got our sun in place. There we go. I'm going to add my Gone to the Beach sign right over here. So do tell me there in the chat, do you alter your stamps with things like this? Do you like to cut them, change them? Is that something you think to do, or are you more just the way it's drawn is the way you use it? I tend to doctor mine up to be just however I see fit in a moment. Add that piece of, I don't think I need glue actually. I think I can fit him right in there just like this. Okay, I'm gonna put it, and this is why I didn't glue these down. I want to be able to to lift that up and tuck that right in there. Go. And then our little cloud. Glue him so he's kind of going into the sun just a little bit. There we go. All right, so now that I have my clouds in place, I am going to add just a little bit of glue on the back sides of these touching the tops. And this one touching the clouds. Whoops. There we go. All right, so we've got our Santa in his scene, or our fella in his scene, and now we're going to finish up this one by adding our clouds. Oh, I did forget to show you one thing here. I'm going to do that real quick. Let me put my cloud in. For this one, I didn't want my cloud over the top. I wanted it to go behind my trees so that you can see it on either side of the stem there. There we go. All right, now if you look at my pieces right here, I didn't like that white outline on the part that was on the sand. So what I decided to do was grab a marker. Hopefully this one's a good color. We'll see. It's the E13. I can't remember which color I used, but I am going to, just the parts that are on the sand, I'm going to go ahead and just lightly color around the edges, running my marker on any of those places that left that white. Just going to color that in. Now, the part of her that goes up in the sky, the white didn't bother me on the sky, but I didn't like it on the sand. So I'm just going to color that white edge all the way around. You can hold it up and just run your marker along that white edge. Now, when she sits there, you don't see that bright white on the edge. I just need to do this one arm up here. Those are just some little things you can do to, I think her drink kind of sticks up, yeah. All right, so there you go, and I'll do the same thing to my little crab. And I'm gonna go all the way around him because I'm pretty sure his whole body is on the sand. So have you been getting lots of crafty time in this week? I finished 2 wedding albums, which was a lot of fun. And made a lot of cards. And like I said, I took a mixed media class, just really had a great time. Always, it's fun to meet up with crafty friends from the past and to meet new crafty friends. So, oops, right along here on the bottom. Okay, there we go. Now see how the difference that makes by taking away that white edge. And kind of show you the difference because on our Santa, I didn't do that step, but on these, so you can kind of see the difference there. But let's go ahead and glue these down. We're going to say this is a sunset because we don't want our grandma lady here drinking her cocktail first thing in the morning. That wouldn't be a good sign for her retirement. So we'll say this is evening time and she's getting ready to enjoy the evening. There we go. We'll just put her down right there. All right, the only other thing I need to do on this one is go ahead and just add a little dot of glue here behind my trees to hold those in place. All right, there we go. I really enjoyed how both of these cards turned out. I love the water paper back behind this one and the dimension with the scene being behind the aperture. And I also loved this gorgeous sunset coming up here with my scene being in front of the aperture. So I hope you've enjoyed this today. I'm going to go ahead and switch my camera back. All right, thank you so much for being here with me. It means so much when you give videos a thumbs up, and we love to hear your comments. So do say hello and tell me what you think of these two cards. And I look forward to crafting with you again next week. Have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.